Hey everyone, and welcome to Ravi Reviews. Today we're going to be looking at the latest episode of The Flash. Now, if you have not watched the episode yet, I advise you to go away and to watch it for yourself because this review will be more helpful if you have. And yeah, so I'm going to give you a little bit of time. Okay, cool. So if you're staying, I'm assuming that you've seen the episode because it's going to be filled with spoilers. We're going to be talking about some stuff from Legends of Tomorrow as well. So yeah, let's get into it. So this episode was quite fun. It was a little bit different to last week's episode, which revealed that the identity of Savitar, which we now know, should I say, is Barry Allen, the future Flash, the evil version of Barry Allen. And the show, this week's episode picked up exactly from where last week left off. We got to figure out why Barry went evil, why he turned into Savitar, which was really cool because in a sense we figured out that he's a time remnant. Now, if you do not know what a time remnant is, a little bit of history. In the season finale of The Flash, when Barry is versing Zoom, he creates a duplicate or remnant of himself. He's running at a frequency that I can't think of or imagine, but he's running at super speed, and he creates a remnant, and this remnant ultimately sacrifices himself to protect the multiverse while Barry fights off Zoom. Now, fast forward to season 3 of The Flash. Everything is good. There's nothing wrong about that. But Barry does run back into time and creates Flashpoint. Now, Savitar is a result of Flashpoint, so when Barry returns, Savitar is present. And as Future Flash reveals, later on in the future, when Iris has been murdered through the hands of Savitar, Barry Allen tries to trap him in the Speed Force, creates Remnant, and Savitar kills every single one except for the Future Flash, who we now meet. And this person, after Barry Allen, the Future Flash, traps Savitar in the Speed Force, he is despised by Star Labs, by Team Star Labs, and he takes out that hatred. He goes real dark and ultimately runs back into the future, and it creates a loop. And I loved how the show sort of described it. What came first, Savitar or the time remnant, right? It's sort of similar to what came first, the chicken or the egg. And so Savitar is, he wants Barry, as part of his plan is to see Barry go dark, go evil, to feel the pain that he felt, to see Iris die. We're not sure what the extent of his plan is, but we know he wants to sin, he wants to become Savitar, so that's his plan. But the really cool thing about this episode was that we got to see 3 different sides of Barry Allen. We got to see the Flash, got to see the Future Flash or Savitar, as well as just normal everyday Barry Allen. Now, this is a Barry Allen that has not suffered any pain, is just normal, doesn't know that he has the Speed Force within him, and this comes as a result of the team trying to mess with his mind so they can get an advantage over Savitar, and as a result, he has amnesia, and I thought it was really funny because through it, he doesn't know who he is, and the show gave us a Bart Allen shout out. Now, if you don't know who Bart Allen is, he's also a speedster. I'm not too good with my comics, but I know that he has some relations with Barry Allen, and so Barry Allen sort of looks at his identity, his ID card, should I say, and sort of sees it says Bartholomew as his first name. So he said, "Why doesn't everyone call me Bart?" And which I thought was really cool. It wasn't just a one-off. He continued to use the name Bart Allen throughout the episode, which I thought was awesome. So yeah, that was cool. While being under this spell of amnesia, should I say, we did get to meet a new rogue. Now his name is Firemonger. As soon as I heard that name, it reminded me of Iron Man, which has Ironmonger played by Obadiah Stane or Jeff Bridges, and and he's another pyrotechnic villain. And I think it's really cool because they had Firemonger, they also had Killer Frost. Now, back in the day when the Flash began, you had Heatwave and Captain Cold. Now we know that Captain Cold is dead. We'll talk about next week's episode, but he is dead in this present timeline, and we know that Heatwave is with the Legends, so they've left Central City, And we know that Top and Mirror Master are controlling the town for the time being, but there's no Captain Cold or Heatwave, and so now that we have Killer Frost and Firemonger, it's kind of sort of symbolizes the switch over, I guess. So I thought that was cool. Um, yeah. So in terms of the rest of the episode, I thought it was really cool seeing HR with Tracy Brand, who is the scientist. They had a little bit of relationship going on, and I thought that was pretty cool because Tom Cavanagh has been playing characters that have been real, dark and sinister and real evil and hard on people. But this is a whimsical version of the character, someone that's really, really happy, really joyful, and just seeing him interact with Tracy Brand, you know that something's going to happen. Well, I was thinking, sort of just going over my notes, I was like, wouldn't it be mean if Tracy died? It would be so bad for HR's character. He would actually feel the hurt because he's becoming attached. As soon as they sort of mingled with each other, you knew something was going to happen. So hopefully she does not die. Speaking of people that die, we know that Iris West is not going to die. They can't kill off Iris West. She is very significant to Barry Allen, very significant to the show. But in terms of the future, I was thinking about this, that Iris has to die in the future. She has to die. We know that, and this came as a result of Flashpoint. So blame Barry. Don't blame me. Don't blame the story. Blame Barry's character. He caused it. But she has to die because of Savitar's existence. So if they do defeat Savitar, which I know they will. They have to, right? They have to defeat him somehow. What's going to be the implications of Savitar being killed or Savitar being trapped in the Speed Force earlier than Iris's death? What would that mean for the timeline? So that's an interesting thought, I think. And saying killing Savitar, he's a time remnant. Now, this is spoilers for Legends of Tomorrow, the finale. If you have not seen it, of season 2, basically what happens is, basically a spoiler for the whole of season 2. But the Reverse Flash is a part of Legends of Tomorrow. He's part of the Legion of Doom, should I say. And he sort of mentions to the rest of the Legion, to Damien Dark, and co. And he sort of says, when I left Flashpoint, I was being chased down by someone, and that is a Black Flash. Now, the Black Flash and the Time Wraiths, as we've known in the show, they appear when time remnants or aberrations are present. And so I was wondering, will we see the return of the Black Flash or time remnants? I'm not saying that how Eobard Thawne died to the hands of Black Flash and Legends is going to be implicated in the show, but I'm just saying, wouldn't it be cool to see the return? We've already seen them in this season already, but time remnant, you gotta have Black Flash, you gotta have Time Wraiths somehow in there because they do chase them down. So it should be interesting. Now, speaking of Savitar, his suit was pretty cool, man. Suit was pretty, techno. It's pretty futuristic. He said, he grew out of red, and now he's wearing this dark blue sort of black costume suit thing, and that actually fought off Barry Allen. Now, saying that when they did, sort of spin around really fast and throw, lightning at each other, Savitar was the worst off. Barry, we saw him, he was still there, but Savitar, was the worst off. So maybe Barry is faster than Savitar, you never know. That should be interesting. Savitar, what I thought was cool, by the way, was when Barry did lose his memory, that Savitar also lost his memory. So that was pretty cool, and that led to Killer Frost working with the team, which was cool, having her back. You can tell that there's still a little bit of Caitlin Snow within her character. Cisco tried to use Ronnie to bring a softer side to her, and you knew that something was happening, that they can bring her back. With how they do so is a mystery, but I like seeing Danielle Panabaker play the character of Killer Frost. She is such a good villain, a non-speedster villain who has such ferocity to her, if that's a word. She's real fearful. You're real cautious when you're around her character. I really liked her working with the team, and just, I thought it was cool that she didn't stay with the team at the end. How she said, I didn't like any of you anyway, and she just walked off because it would have been so cheesy and so predictable if she did stay. So that was cool. Um, the final thing before we wrap this up, I think it was really cool. In terms of Easter eggs, there wasn't really much. I mean, there was a Star Trek shout out about how Kirk was split into good Kirk and bad Kirk, and Sisko sort of mentioned to HR, if do you have Star Trek on your Earth, and so Tom Cavanaugh, I mean HR being HR, just says no, we don't. We have Voyager, and I thought it was cool because Sisko says spin-offs are never really that good anyway, so that was really cool. So yeah, those were my thoughts. I really enjoyed it. The tone of it was really different. It was less, dire in a sense, because it felt like there was less stakes in this episode, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I really enjoyed this episode. It was quite fun. Really looking forward to next week. In terms of, I forgot to mention one more thing. It was the speed cannon, or the speed bazooka. Now, Tracy Brand, her character, is building this to trap Savitar, and she's missing one element, and that is the electricity, the power, and she needs something that's really powerful, and nothing off this earth can power that except for this alien tech that we see, and it's this power source that is being guarded by King Shark, which is cool because we get to see a return of King Shark in the next week's episode. And the promo, we got to see Captain Cold also return. I'm not too sure how they're going to explain it, whether they're going to have to travel in the past, Barry's going to have to travel in the past, grab him, bring him back, or they're going to have to go to another Earth. My best guess is they're going to be going to the past, because we don't know what Lena Snart is doing on other Earths. So that should be interesting, seeing Wentworth Miller back on the show, back with helping out Team Flash. It's going to be kind of like a high-toned episode. 2 more episodes left till the season finale. I'm really excited. This show is picking up, and I hope, it was just a shout out, but I hope in the future, whatever season we do come to, that we do see Bart Allen. I mean, we've seen, a handful of speedsters, but there is a big family when it comes to the Flash family. So hopefully this is, I know it's more of a wink from the people behind the show, but I hope we do get to see Bart Allen. I mean, we've seen Wiley, so it'll be a while and Jesse Cook, so it'll be a while till we see Bart Allen on screen. I'm not sure how long that will be, but it'll be cool to see him even on another Earth. So yeah, no, that was the review for The Flash, the latest episode. I hope that was helpful. I hope that was beneficial. I liked it. Yeah, I couldn't really think of anything bad to speak of. I mean, my only bad thing would be, that the suspense, or like, the focus on the plot, the main plot, it was toned down a little bit. There wasn't high stakes in this episode. It was a lot more fun, but I enjoy something that's a little bit fun. That's what separates Flash from the Arrow and makes it similar to Supergirl, is its fun side, its fun nature. Yeah, so that was me. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hope you subscribe if you like it. Yeah, I'll be doing more reviews and breakdowns and previews, and yeah, that's all for me. Ravi out.